Hi, I'm Patrick, and this is the Mach-E vlog. We have a special treat for you today. We're here at the Shelby Heritage Center in Las Vegas. We're gonna go inside, take a look at the Heritage Center, but we're gonna talk to the president and vice president of Carroll Shelby, Shelby American, and take a look at a prototype Mustang Mach-E that they had a couple of years ago. Their Heritage Center, it's super cool. You wanna stay tuned? Come on in. So now we're here with the Shelby Mach-E that you guys were playing around with. But before we get into it, let's introduce you guys so that everybody knows who you guys are. So we'll start with the president.
That's all right. I'm Gary Patterson, president of Shelby American.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Vince LaViolette. I'm vice president of operations and senior designer.
Awesome. So where should we start? I mean, there's so much to talk about.
Well, I think for what you were talking about earlier, the elephant in the room is always why the electric? Why, Carroll Shelby would roll over in his grave if he found out you guys were doing electric.
I think we had a dozen of those comments on our Hurt Shelby video.
And we have too. So I think that's really a good place to start. Vince and I were very fortunate to work with Carroll Shelby personally.
That's awesome.
For many of the last years of his life, okay? So for me, it was like the last 16 years. Right? Vince just a little bit less. But Carroll was all about trying new things and innovation and whatever's next. And so many people don't realize that long before this went on, Carroll was all about all kinds of new things. So when you go and you look in our Heritage Center, you see all these cool cars.
Yeah.
And we would ask Carroll, what's your favorite? It was always the next one. Right? And so he was forward thinking. We had a Cobra in 2003 that was here that Carroll played around with, and it ran on hydrogen.
That's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah. Back in 2003.
In 2003. And he partnered with a guy named Jim Heffel and with the University of California, and they were playing with this car, and it set, some challenging records at Bonneville and stuff like that for speed, but a long time ago. And they never got it because they didn't get both ways, but they got one way pretty good. Anyway, so Carroll was all about that. I drove the car. It didn't make sense at the time.
Yeah.
Okay, for a variety of reasons. That doesn't mean that hydrogen doesn't have a future in automotive. It may very well be. Technology continues to evolve. Before that, Carroll Shelby was always trying the latest, greatest, what's new. Mm-hmm. Most people don't realize that Carroll Shelby actually built 2 turbine-powered Indy cars. Mm-hmm. And those still exist today. It was never actually run in the race. His air intakes, I think, were a little bigger than the inspectors were going to look at. And then eventually the turbine-powered Indy car was a flash in the pan, and it was quickly off. And they had basically regulated out of where they could race those. But Carroll was always about the latest, greatest thing. And we actually have a segment of him on tape back in 2010 talking about how excited he was about the future powertrains of vehicles. And he specifically calls out electric.
Yeah.
2006, he pulled me off to the side and says, we need to start a project. He says, I've got some money put away on this project here. He says, I'd like to start electric vehicles.
Yeah.
And that was back in 2006.
That's so cool. And the way I sort of explained it to people, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think I'm right, is like we think about Shelby now as Shelby the business, but he was truly just a race car driving legend and wanted to go fast. Mm-hmm. And fast is like, let's try improving on it. What's the next?
Innovation,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, innovation's very important, and not everything you try is going to work.
Right. You can't succeed if you don't fail a few times.
Yes.
Yeah, nobody talks about Thomas Edison's failures.
Right.
But they far exceeded his successes.
Right.
And he's got like 1,100 patents. Yeah. Just mind-boggling amazing. So, it was very important for Carroll. It was very important for us. Let's try it. Let's see what it does. What does it do well? What doesn't it not do? Does it make sense to put it in production now? Or should we push pause and see what we need to do and so forth. So that kind of evolved into where we are today with this car. And we played around with other electric cars before we started with this. Okay, Vince and I had a car that we had played around with. It belonged to somebody else, but they gave us permission, and we flared the fender wells. We put slicks on all four corners, and we took it to the track, and we saw how it stopped and turned, and you know how long the batteries would last, and we know what it did well and what it didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had a good idea going into this thing what we were up against, right? So with that, why don't we talk about this car a little bit?
Yeah, this one here was kind of a fun project. It was actually brought to Gary and asked, you know, if he would do a project. We were asked to actually help the concept of small SUV basically being called a Mustang.
Yeah.
And being electric.
Yeah.
You know, this is out of the realm completely of what the Mustang name was. You know what I mean? So they sent the vehicle over to us and had us look at it and trying to figure out. Me and Gary went to Detroit, looked at all the different styles of cars that they had, what they were doing, found out the drivetrains and everything, and then kind of figured out this would be the best one to work with, the best thing to start with, and then. Kind of came back, sat down, and we decided what kind of look we wanted to do with the car. What do we want to do? We want to make it look more like a Mustang. You know, we listened to the consumers, and the consumers said the front end was just a little too vanilla for them. You know what I mean?
Right.
They wanted something different. You could tell an electric car because of the front ends on the road. You know, so we wanted to do something that, you know, was kind of over the top. I don't know why Shelby would want to do that, you know
Right.
what I mean? But we have a problem with that. But anyway, we looked at it, and then we thought, you know, if we're going to improve on the vehicle, everything like that, what should we put into the design to facilitate that? So as we walk around the car, we'll kind of talk about some of the things we did and why we did it. So we can go ahead and walk around a little bit.
Why don't we talk about the front first? 'Cause
Yeah,
that's,
Yeah, we'll start with the front.
that's
walk to the
really
front.
the biggest visual thing that's different. And one of the things that I think is important that, you know, we have been doing, you know, especially the last 8 or 10 years, is really look at functionality of things, right? And when you look at this thing, we play with all kinds of different designs, but most people don't realize that an electric car still needs cooling.
Right.
Right? It's got a radiator.
Yeah, it sure does.
Okay, so it's kind of funny because we've been running around with this car and we're still playing with different temperatures and things. So if you look here, it's got cardboard in it. Right? High tech, right? Let's pull this out.
Yeah.
But it was a quick way to say, okay, what happens if we restrict the airflow in cold weather?
Yeah.
What does that do to battery temperatures and the cooling system? Does it need to be bigger, smaller, and things like that? But so we'll put this aside for right now.
I love it that you know, we're going more and more high tech, all of these sensors and data and stuff like that, but you can still, like, let's just put some cardboard, block some airflow and see how that does.
Yeah.
And as you know, we're not currently in production of an electric car.
Right.
Okay? But that doesn't mean that we've given up.
Right.
We got to continue to evolve, and you know it's like technology in any business. You've got to always stay up front, looking out the windshield, and not. So even if it didn't make sense today, what does it make sense to do tomorrow? We're still looking at powertrains, hybrid powertrains, all kinds of technology that may make this very good in the future, and very soon. So you never know. But if you look at this. And you look historically, we talked about the radiator a little bit. Radiator's still in the car. If you look at some of the race cars and you look at airflow of Shelby's, like in the Daytona Coupe,
Right. Yeah.
okay, the GT40, the Shelby Series 1, air comes in through the nose, goes through the radiator, back out over the hood. What does that do? Okay. It's not only very efficient that way, and a lot of the race cars are like that, not just Shelby's anymore, right? But what it does is it also keeps the air from pricking the front end up at high speed.
Nice. Yeah.
Right? Because where's the air going to go? If it goes in, it's got to go somewhere. And if it all goes down and out the bottom of the car, that creates lift. This brings it in, goes through the radiator, comes out here, actually gives you a little more downforce.
Yeah.
right?
Nice.
And it's also very efficient to get the air extracted out. So, and then people didn't realize that we could do all this and still keep the front that's in there.
Really?
So visually, it looks like we must have eliminated the frunk. We didn't.
Yeah.
We
So
didn't eliminate anything in the front.
on the 2025 Mach-E, they've reduced the front size because they added a heat pump, and that's been like, I don't want a heat pump. I want my front
So
space.
what we found, so when we were doing the first design work on it, we first brought the cars out, we started using them. We noticed that, how the temperatures would go up under, harsh conditions and those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
There was really no way to evacuate the air out of these cars. The air would kind of go in and stagnate and it had places to go, but not enough for what we were doing. So when we thought about if we're gonna do more to the car, we're gonna need to move more air and get everything working more efficient. That's why we decided to go ahead and bring everything in and out. And it was funny because one of the things we thought about first was we're gonna have to eliminate everything in the front. We didn't want to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and open the front.
Yeah, you'll be surprised. It's almost all still there.
So this you gotta remember this is prototype, so some of the seals are off and stuff like that. Sorry.
It is.
You can cut that part down.
Wow.
But see,
Still there.
eliminated it to where just basically all they did is use the little center area between the two cup holders, basically. So everything is still in there. Even though it's a large volume that comes out of here, it isn't a large. It didn't take up a lot inside the car itself.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So it gave it a way to where, not only is the air coming in, but it's actually starting to swirl and it's also sucking the air out too. So, but what we found also, which Gary found just the other day, is when it's cold out, we're way too efficient. You know what I mean? So we're going to have to change it. We would have to change the efficiency on the front end, be able to close it off completely.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you're still evacuating through the top right here.
Yeah.
So there's different things. So, it's going to cut down your range because of the cold. You know what I mean? So, and you guys are quite aware of how batteries operate. They like to operate at about 98 degrees.
Right.
That's their happy spot. So anything colder, anything higher, you have a lot of variation. Another thing we did on this car here is you see that it's got basically a cowl on the front end right here. We wanted to make it look more like a Mustang and kind of tie it into some of the more of the gas cars by having that, because normally the hood would end right at the front.
It does,
what I mean? Yeah. So what this did is it gave it. It gave it a little bit longer, a little bit sleeker nose, that kind of look. It's all carbon fiber. Everything's carbon fiber on the car.
And it looks lower, like just by that little bit of difference, it feels like it's lower in the front.
Yeah, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring the car down to look more like the traditional vehicles that are on the road, basically. But we didn't want it to lose its identity, so we still used the the flat area for the grill and those kind of things.
The wraparound.
Yeah, the wraparound. So this is still functions exactly the way that the factory one did. We still use the factory inners and those kind of things. So incorporated some of the factory stuff to where we could actually make everything work like the factory, get as much air as we could through here, not mess up the aerodynamics, if we could. So we think about all those kind of things. So if the car would have went farther, you probably would have saw a whole different design on the front end. You know what I mean? But where we were going and where we thought we should start was this right here. So.
And we used graphene infused carbon fiber so it would reduce some of the weight, right? Yeah. And we did that for the whole new front end. So if you look at this, it's got a whole new nose on it.
Yeah,
and the fenders.
Yeah, fenders, hood,
and the hood,
and also the rear flares on it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we ran lighter weight rims. We tried to do that. We ran more of an EV tire on it. Those kind of things. So there's a lot of things that we did. Just starting, to develop it. We wanted to put as many things as we could into it. You know what I mean? To give it its greatest advantage. What we found with the car is that the power supply basically was pretty much where it was going to be.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there isn't any way to bring it any higher. Basically, we could. There'd be a little more heat involved, and there would also we'll put it this way: the cost didn't equate to the performance that we were looking for to give you that. You know what I mean? So we couldn't. It would
You
cost.
can make a lot of power.
You can make a lot of
Yeah.
power. Yeah, you know what I mean. But
That's been like one of the biggest criticisms of the Mach-E GT, the thermal performance. So it's like it's producing a lot of power, but the power gets reduced because the cooling isn't up to par to
exactly.
to keep it going.
After 5 seconds.
Yeah, which they've eliminated for the 2024 and 25.
Which is good.
And they have new motors in it, so I wish you guys had one of those to play with as well. But it's exciting to see that Ford is also making improvements that are going to hopefully keep getting out there and keep them.
Yeah, we can kind of talk to that. So when we started getting involved in this project here, we took another path, and we're also investigating a lot of new technologies that are out there. For about the last 2 years, we've been tied in pretty good, trying to develop new things. You know what I mean? So there is some new development stuff that we're working on right now, but unless what we develop is over and above anything that's out there, we won't bring it to market.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's understandable because that Shelby name,
yes,
doesn't mean a loud V8.
Yeah.
Going back to the EV thing, but it means an increase in performance.
Yeah, we'll never take a car and make it look pretty and still have the same performance that the standard car will have.
Right.
Okay, and that's the same thing in the EV market. If we can come up with something that's over and above, then yes, we would be happy to bring something like that out. You know, and we're always looking at different ways to do things, different technologies that are out there. There's a lot of great companies that are out there. There's a lot of smart people that are out there, you know, and we want to meet them. We want to bring them in, and we want to be able to work with people. So that's exciting. We pride ourselves in trying to learn something new every day. You know what I mean? That's how you grow your company. You know, we're not stagnant. We're not going to stand around and say, we are, and this is what we're going to do. It's just like, you know, we're excited to hear, what do you got? You know what I mean? How can we do that? So that's exciting for us to do those kind of things. You know, Gary's now, he's been in Detroit so much more now. There's so many companies and so many people in Detroit that have been in the automotive industry for so many years, and they have all these things that they would love to do, but they have no platform or no way to put it out. You know, if we can work with some of these people and come up with some new ideas and some new, you know, suspensions or whatever, or that kind of thing, then that's awesome. You know what I mean? That's something new that we can bring to market. So we're always hunting. You know, this guy here, he's out all day long down there talking to everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's exciting. It's exciting. It's exciting for our company, I think, because we're looking to the future. You know, like I say, we're already working on the 26 vehicles. We already got those ready to go, start testing on those. You know, we can't wait till 27, 28. We're looking ahead. You know, what are we going to have? What can we bring out? What can we start testing now to what we bring out a couple years from now that is going to be exciting for people?
Yeah.
So we're not going to sit around like Gary says. We look out the windshield because it's a nice big look. We never look out the rearview mirror, because it's just a little tiny thing to look at.
We look at it once in a while. We learn from it.
Yeah,
Sounds like the
small.
Shelby mantra from
Right?
Carol Shelby is like looking forward.
Yeah.
It's definitely looking forward. You look out the windshield, not the mirror. So the mirror is important. You can learn from it, but don't focus all your energy in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
Right.
So we have a great history, right? Everybody saw Ford versus Ferrari.
Of course,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah. World championships, you know, beating Ferrari, all those kind of things. Quite frankly, even if you ask Carol Shelby, that was in the past. What are we doing going forward?
Yeah.
And we're not going to come out with something and put our brand on it now and say, okay, unless it really becomes game changing in the electric. Because right now, that's what we're looking at. And we're not going to move forward with that stuff until we get there. So we're going to prove out the concept. So this is pretty cool.
It looks great. And of course, I'm a big fan of the callback to the 65 Mustangs with the white and the blue stripes.
Right.
And
That's heritage.
It looks beautiful. Yeah, the heritage is
Heritage.
so important.
Yeah, that's what we did. We did dress some stuff in the interior and things like that. And I know based on time, we probably ought to talk about a few of the other things that we got here that you
Sure.
said you wanted to talk about. But we put some, our friends at Recaro, they came up with some really good seats for us. So
I love that.
those are a little different than the seats that it came with.
Yeah, if you need to get rid of those. We have a Grabber Blue Mach-E GT.
Oh, that
Performance
fit perfect.
Edition. That
Oh,
would
you
be
did?
beautiful in there.
Yeah. Well, it's the only set, so.
Yeah. We have seen the Shelby Hertz Mach-E.
Right.
You guys want to talk a little bit about that? And by the way, they're cycling out, as they always do,
Yeah, we're going to
cars.
sell them now.
So they're selling them all off.
Right.
They're asking too much for them, but they are limited edition. They're not like this. They don't have the
Yeah, we did a different style hood on them.
Yeah.
It's an all carbon hood.
Yeah, it's all
just-
carbon hood. It's a really, really nice hood. We did rockers on them. We did some nice covers. We did a lot of carbon on the car, actually. It was one of those things when you work with Hertz or something like that, we have a box basically that we have to work out of.
because they're renting it out. It's not.
Yeah,
And it's a budget.
It's a budget. Yeah. So we sit down and talk, and we'd love to do this box. You know what I mean?
Right.
They come to us with this box, and then we talk them into this one. You know what I mean?
Well, Hertz has been very, good, but a lot of it depends on what they're able to do right now too, and and with a particular car and how they want it to look. But they even came to us a couple years ago and said, "Hey, we'd like to do something that's just crazy over the top." And we said, "Okay." They wanted to do a basic traditional Mustang with a internal combustion engine. Good. Want to do a V8? Good. Been there. Okay. So we got one that was 470 horses. That's pretty good. So well, we'd like a halo car. What could you do? Well, if your budget's there, the new GT500 is really strong and it's 760 horses.
That's great.
Do you really want to give that to the rental
Yeah,
population?
yeah.
Well, it may be a real limited version. But what could we do more? You want more? Absolutely. How about over 900 horses? We can do that too. But there's no powertrain warranty, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And they actually commissioned us to do 27 of those.
Yes.
So there's 27 Hertz GT500 Shelby rental cars that are over 900 horsepower,
That's amazing.
right?
Yeah.
And if you find one, they still bring about $300,000. So that's pretty
That's
good.
crazy.
Yeah.
I think the Shelby Hertz Mach-E, what I think is great about them is they put them in Las Vegas and LA and Miami,
Yeah.
where somebody's going to go into town for a weekend. They're going to give it a try. They may have never considered an EV, and now they're going to be exposed
Exactly.
to this version of it.
Yeah.
And for a weekend getaway, I mean, it's fun. It's sort of like the reason why people go and rent a convertible on the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Patrick, you guys owning an EV, right? You got the Shelby. So they start as the Performance GT.
Yeah.
So the car does 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds.
Yeah.
So for most people, that's eye-opening.
It really is.
I mean, that's shockingly fast. It's all-wheel drive, so it explodes out, and it's got very, very quick throttle response, as you guys that own EVs know, right? So it does those things exceptionally well.
And and as I was explaining to somebody as well, it's like you can rent a Shelby Mustang, and then you go and this is going to be fun, and you're trying to get your luggage in there. You're like, well, this is not as great. But then you have the Mach-E. It's a Shelby Mach-E, and you fit all your luggage and put your kids in the back, and you're in an SUV, but you have a lot of power there.
They can put a big TV back there,
Yeah.
Take it home in the box, even if it's big. So it's really a decent, utility vehicle. But
Well,
Yeah.
this looks fantastic. I could talk about the Mach-E all day. That's what we do. That's why we have a YouTube channel
Right.
to talk about it. But just as a Mustang fan and a Shelby fan, I was just sharing with them earlier. When I was born, my mom had a Mustang. Her name was Shelby, so I have experience with a different type of Shelby Mustang. But I'm excited about your other stuff because I know you have the Super Snake that you guys rolled out. You have a
Yes.
lot of stuff with the F Series from Ford. So, and you have more stuff slated.
Yes, we actually just finished a couple of really nice videos that are going to be coming out. You'll see the new 24 or the new 25s. You'll see that
Why don't we
truck
walk
there.
over here?
Yeah,
We'll
you'll
walk
see-
over.
It doesn't have the bumper on it right now. We're doing a few little tweaks with
Yeah.
it, but
But this, this one, this is the new Raptor R.
That's so cool.
So this here, 37-inch drop down steps, nice rack. flares, front bumper, rear bumper, leather interior, a Whipple upgrade on it. So we're 900, close to 900.
It's over 900.
Yeah.
It's over 900 horses.
900 horsepower,
crazy.
yeah. So I just took it out to the desert and I'd have ran it pretty good.
Yeah, I bet. I bet.
We got pictures of Vince with all 4 tires off the ground.
That's
Yeah.
so cool.
There's air under all 4.
If you guys want to do a F-150 Lightning Shelby, have you guys seen the switchgear? But I think there's some potential there. And there's a lot of people that commented in our video about that
Yeah.
they would love to actually have that. But this is so cool looking.
Yeah,
And so
these
much
are-
performance. It's amazing.
So much performance. And the way the suspension's set up with the Fox shocks and all the upgrades and everything like that. It was funny because they when we're doing videos, they like to have us slide and drift and those kind of things.
Right.
And to tell you the truth, the suspension works so well in this thing, you almost have to drive over the suspension to get it to do what they
Yeah.
want to do because the truck is actually working so well.
Yeah.
So you go into a corner hard with this, it tricycles, picks a front tire off the ground, and you got traction going all the way through everywhere you want to go. So I mean, the setup and the functionality of the vehicle is tremendous. I mean, it's awesome. It's a beautiful truck to drive on the highway. It's great off road. It was just it was a lot of fun. So like I say, the new videos that are coming out, you'll see that. It'll show you a lot of the climbing abilities in the sand, out in the desert, on the highway, a lot of those different things. So we try to kind of give a well-rounded view of what the truck can actually do. But as far as it's a truck you buy off the lot, even though it's a Shelby truck. You know what I mean? It's pretty crazy.
It's pretty.
It's a lot of truck.
Yeah,
it's
it's
a lot of truck.
It's sort of unimaginable. Like you literally just go to your dealer and you can order something like this.
Yeah, what people
the
don't
average
understand is, I mean, like the 24 Super Snakes and stuff like that. People look at the car, and they look at it and they think, like, oh, that's cool, it's a Shelby and everything, but what is it? When you really get into it and you see all the components, all of the design and all the technology that was put in the car, you're going like, oh, that's a lot. You get a lot for that. You know what I mean? Then they start understanding things differently. I always tell people, I said the most exciting thing to do and the best thing to do is watch for Shelby events. Me and Gary are at Shelby events all over the U.S. We have the tracks out there, the cars out there, and usually we have a track event. And you can come out and you can ride in the car, and that really changes your perception of what a Shelby is. You get it on the track with all the other performance cars out there and really see how the cars perform. You see everything that we've actually put into the cars.
Why don't we walk over here real quick? Because along those lines, here's a new Super Snake. So when you first look at it, it's like, what all does Shelby do?
Yeah.
It's not just stickers and scoops.
Right.
Right? This is all functional items that make this car a better, faster car. And it's things that when you first look at one, you don't maybe even really notice it, right?
Yeah.
Like these hardened wheel studs, right? Those are in every car. It's not something that you quickly visually see or you might even notice.
Yeah.
But they're in there because we go out and do ornery things and we'll fail the wheel studs. We're like, well, we better put those in so our customer doesn't have those problems, right?
Yeah.
Functionality, this has a really cool design. Vince really worked on that, but it's also very functional, and he can talk about that. But these are carbon fiber. Pick that up.
Yeah, they weigh.
Pick that up.
Oh,
It's
wow.
taped on right now, but I mean, they're hardly anything. It's got all the plastic
Oh,
and painted.
wow.
But yeah, they're hardly anything. So what we try to do is we know, things like, the aluminum hood, redesigned front end, magnesium wheels. These are all the things that people don't really realize. When you eliminate rotating mass, it was funny because we took the car out with the original wheels. We were going, aluminum wheel that we were going to run. Set the car up, took it to the track, went out, ran it. Feels good. Put the magnesium wheels on it. We had to bring it back in and reset the suspension completely. Set everything up different because the aluminum, the magnesium was so light. It changed the characteristics and the handling of the car completely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was really, really exciting to see that those kind of, what kind of changes,
And I think that sort of is a key part, like you were talking about, like just changing the wheels, and you got to adjust the suspension. Because I think a lot of people they go out and they're like, well, I can buy like a dark horse and I'll put some magnesium wheels on it. But if you don't do all the other stuff, you're going to run into issues.
You're going to run into issues, yeah. You know, we got 830 horsepower, heat exchangers, radiators, huge fans we run for cooling, huge tanks for the supercharger, sway bars, springs, exhaust system, 1,000 horsepower axles, single aluminum drive shaft, brand new rockers, whole new deck lid assemblies, a new pedestal wing on the back, new rear diffuser that actually runs air through efficiently. There's a lot of things, 4-inch Borla exhaust tips on it, double tips on each side. I mean, there's a lot of things, and a lot of things mechanically that we change on the car. We wanted to make sure that we had airflow that ran through on both sides. The inner fender wells came from the factory, didn't have that option. So we went ahead and we moved some things on the car, made it to where we could put coolers on both sides of the car, and we have vented inner fender wells on each side, balance the car out. So over 100 miles an hour, the car is very balanced and feels nice because all the air is flowing correctly through the front of the car. We're actually getting downforce out of the hood. Things like we've eliminated all our underhood temperatures. There's a lot of things. And then for the guys that just want to drive it on the street, we have what we call rain trays that go underneath all the scoops. So the reason we do that is so the guys that wash their cars a lot or whatever, it runs the water down in areas that isn't going to affect anything in there if you got a bunch of polished stuff in there. But another thing about that, what we found is when you get on the track and you get into the 120 mile an hour and up range, you got to have those out of there because all the aerodynamics and all the effects that we put in with the hood, it'll actually want to kind of feel light on the front end. You got to pull those out, and then you feel the car pull right down, and then the car starts handling.
What detail, I like it.
Yeah, so it's little things like that that people don't realize how much we've actually put into the car, to make the car perform. And we want the car to perform up here, but yet we want you to be able to drive the car every single day. I took the thing on a road trip not too long ago, and beautiful car on the highway. Beautiful car on the highway, very comfortable, everything like that. But in the same respect, we could stop at any track we want and go out there and have a great day at the track.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's been with the Shelby brand for a while. It's something that really is. You could literally drive it every day. And then on Saturday, go hit a track.
There's some things. So when we do things like, like single drive shafts and change the suspension, you do feel it. There's a little bit of a change.
Sure. Oh,
you know what I mean? You're going to feel some more vibration. You're going to feel those kind of things. But we do that because if it's a track enthusiast and he goes out there and he's beating on his car every day, we want a car that's going to last. Right. You know what I mean? Being a street car, you know what I mean? It's a little bit... a little bit different than what a factory car would be. It's a little bit harder, stiffer, those kind of things. But inherently, that's what the car is. It's a performance vehicle.
Yeah.
So people have to realize that a performance vehicle is going to drive different than a regular street car.
Oh, sure, definitely. Yeah.
So it's a lot more than just horsepower. It's how you put it down. It's going to be reliable. It's going to be balanced with the other stuff. So that's why we do all this. These fenders allow you to run bigger tires in the front, right? Yeah. A little bit wider, a little more grip. Yep. So they're not just a pretty face. They not only also function with airflow and stuff like that, but it also allows you to put a bigger tire on it.
Yeah, we run 305s all the way around. We run a square setup.
Wow.
So that way the car's planted, feels very, very solid, So it's just a lot of things, the full leather interiors, We try to cover every single part of the car, and everything is quality parts. The car is built. When the boys built the car, you'll see marks on all the bolts. When they first torque the car, they'll go ahead and they'll put it together, they'll torque it, they'll mark it. Now before this car leaves, there'll be a pink one on the top of it also. That's the inspector. The inspector comes through before they go any farther. That's why this car stopped where it is. They've already done it. They've tightened everything up. Now the inspector is going to come through and he's going to double check everything. And when he double checks everything, it all goes on a list. Each car has a list of every nut, bolt, and part that was put on the car, where it was torqued, who torqued it, what lift it was on, and everything like that. So if we ever have any problems or anything like that in the field, we can look back, and if we see somebody that's, new and forgot something or something like that, we can follow that back. So we're always striving to make sure that the quality is there for everything that we do. So by double checking everything before it's put together, so there's stages that the car can be put together, that has to be finalized before the next stage can go on. So there's really a lot that goes on. You see these lights that are on top, they're all off right now because all the boys aren't here. But there's lights usually on top. There'll be red lights, green lights, yellow lights. So when the car is at a point where it needs inspection, or the car is at a point where it needs a tune, there's a car at the point where it needs sheet metal parts, those kind of things, all the lights will go ahead and work. So the different departments can just look out here in the field and they can see exactly what's going on, so they know what the factory needs to keep everything rolling.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I love all those details and those little things that just make the process flow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, you guys want to run out to the museum real quick?
Oh my gosh,
Let's do that real quick. Yeah, so we talked a little bit earlier. That was kind of convenient. We talked a little bit earlier about the airflow. This is GT40, very similar to the car that they won the 24 Hours of Le Mans. You guys saw the Ford versus Ferrari. This is the livery that Ken Miles had that basically dominated the race. But again, air comes in through the nose, goes through the radiator, exits out over the hood. Okay? Yeah. Very, very efficient. So we took those kind of things, and that's what we did with our Mach-E. You look at the Daytona Coupe over there, it's got the hood up, same kind of thing. So, and when we did the 24 Super Snake, one of the neat things about that is living in Las Vegas, we're very, very blessed to have the Daytona Coupe designer. The guy that actually designed that car, Peter Brock, actually lives here in Las Vegas.
That's so cool.
Right? And so he was a designer for not only Shelby, but for General Motors, had a lot to do with Corvettes. He's done many things over many years. He's literally an icon in the industry, and he's right here. So we gave him a sneak peek of the 24 Super Snake. Vince said, hey, we should call him up. And I'm like, yeah, let's bring him over here. So we brought him over to the studio, and that's what he said. He really liked the look of the car, but as much as that, he liked the fact that the functionality of the car and what it did. Yeah. It wasn't just a pretty face. It wasn't just stickers and scoops. The things that we designed, and Vince is primary guy for that, those things function.
Yeah.
So, and he was the designer of that car.
I love that car so
cool.
much. It's one of my favorite cars across the decades. It's just so cool.
Yeah, and like Gary was saying, the neat thing about having Pete here is we can bounce stuff off of him and have him look at things, and he looks from a different era. You know what I mean? Basically, you know what I mean? We have young guys here, we'll show them the stuff, and then we show Pete, and for him to still be excited, you know what I mean? We know that we're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but some of these cars in here, we call this our jewelry area right here. As you can tell, this is all the jewelry. So all the nice polished cars.
And this car has such a history. If you guys watching don't know, you should look up the Shelby Daytona Coupe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the FIA World Manufacturers Championship, beat Ferrari in '65.
Yeah.
So before Ford versus Ferrari movie, part of the reason they wanted Carroll to be involved in that car is because they were world champions in this car.
Yeah.
So this year, 2025, we're celebrating 60 years of the world championship of the Daytona Coupe.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Along with the Mustang.
And how many
along with the
Daytona Coupes
427.
do they make? It was only like
6.
Yeah, 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was very, very, very limited.
And there was a couple variations, like the Willamette Coupe and stuff, so you could say 7. But the ones that actually raced and so forth, there were 6 of them originally. Yeah. And they still exist today.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a newer car. This is a few years old, but the neat thing about this car here is all the cars have a CSX number. Mm-hmm. And starting from Carroll's first car, this is CSX 9999. So this is the last 4-digit number. So to be on a Daytona Coupe 9999, I think that's pretty cool. That's kind of a...
And it's a continuation, and that is genuinely a polished aluminum body. That's not a wrap, that's what it is.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can see it.
All hand-formed aluminum.
It's hard to see on camera probably, but yeah, it looks really, really sharp.
Yeah.
All of these do.
A lot of man hours to
I mean,
make
I
a
still
car look
love
like that.
the pretty blues
Yeah.
that are just
Oh, yeah.
famous Shelby.
Yeah.
Yep.
So these cars, like this car here is designed, this is a fiberglass model of the car, but this is designed to be driven every day. This here has air conditioning, heating, has a taller roof in it so you can get a taller person in the car. You know, the design is there, but when you really look at it, it's a lot
It's
different.
actually a bigger car, and you can, larger people can fit in it easier.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
It has things like air conditioning, which that car doesn't have.
Yeah.
No, it has air conditioning. It's got those little pop outs on the window.
Yeah,
there you
well,
go.
yeah.
But this is such a
drive fast.
great lineup of just iconic cars. And I want to mention to people, like, you can literally just stop in, visit the store here,
Yeah.
and then come and browse the cars. And if you want a tour, you can like sign up. The tour costs, but just to come browse, you can just do that. So
Yeah, the tour's nice because you actually learn the history of the cars and a little bit more about the company, basically. But just to stop in and have a look, I mean, if you're in the area, it's a great place to stop, bring the kids, relax a little bit, see a little bit of history. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of fun.
And it's right by the airport in Vegas, which is why we stopped by the other day. We had like an hour and a half to kill. And I'm like, we got to go in.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, we have we have some continuation cars. We have some original cars. So we have just a nice blend of cars. Concept cars, number ones. Gary might have a few number one cars in here.
There's a few.
There's a few
Like
of
the
them in
Mach-E concept.
here. Yeah,
That's amazing.
exactly.
But Vince has some too, like that Daytona.
Yeah.
But GT40s, there's the latest KR.
That's an
That's the
original
latest Super
car.
Snake. There's the car that was actually the, quote, Aston Martin out of Ford versus Ferrari
Oh.
in the movie. That's the movie car.
Yeah, when he was on fire, that is the car. So if you look at the 24 altogether, you'll see all the things that we were talking about coming together on this vehicle right here. A lot of stuff really happening. Everything functional on the car. Very comfortable cars too. You can sit in it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll never
Get him
complain
in
about
there.
that.
Yeah. Let me roll the window down for you real quick. But they're full leather interior. We do it to where it kind of holds you in. No matter what seat you got, you can do the standard seat, the Recaro seat, and it's all preference on how you want the car built. But things change, like you can see on this car here. I mean, we bring air in through the headlights to start the airflow to come in to where it vacuums out the back, full ventilated fenders that come down the side. Change the design of the rear rocker to where it's got a hard line in the rocker now that comes down that actually brings out the hard lines in the top of the quarter panel. So it almost looks like a wider body rear quarter panel on the car, but it's actually a factory quarter panel. Things like the European style deck lid, really nice look, nice little ducktail on the back of the deck lid, just gives a nice look, gives a lot deeper look on the back of the car, and then made a carbon fibers pedestal wing to come up over the top that actually fit the car aesthetically, and just really ties the whole car together. Carbon fiber rear diffuser, fully vented, so the rear diff cooler works, everything like that. So any accessories you want to add onto the car later, if your car didn't have it from the factory, we've already put the cooling aspects and everything in this car ready to go. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that we've pre-done for you. So if you want to keep going and do more and more to your car later, you can. But you know what? We've pretty much hit all the marks on the car. But the cool thing, like I was saying, like the magnesium wheels, that's a 19-pound wheel.
It's crazy.
The lightest stuff you can get from a factory aluminum wheel starts right around 26, 30 pounds, those kind of things. So like I say, those kind of things really change the aspect of the vehicles.
And I'm going to mention one thing to Liv. Like, I don't know if you want to stick the camera just out the front so you can sort of see like what it looks like with the hood. One of the things that, because we film a lot of road trip videos, and we've done it in our car and we've done it in a lot of others. And you want to talk about like little design elements that they put like in the Mach-E, that's like a Mustang. I tell you, like every other EV has like this generic hood, or you don't even see the hood. And in the Mach-E, it's just always this like beautiful long Mustang hood.
You should sit in the one out there with the big
Yeah.
look out over that hood is
Yeah.
quite remarkable.
Yeah, it's like, again, it's like some of those little details, but like every time we get in our car, it feels comfortable. And part of it is like my view has the beautiful curves, you know,
Yeah.
and it's that little bit of a feel, and that's, you know, I know we're back over on this area, but like, you know, some of the things with the Mach-E, it's like it has the tri-bar tail lights. It has like the haunches, which are so important for a Mustang. And it's like, it was controversial, and I even had some of those reservations when I heard that it was going to be an SUV and electric. But I love that we get to drive a Mustang, even in an electric SUV Mustang. But it really does. It's like when you see like some of those things, it brings that in. And this is just beautiful. Like the design that you guys have added with the rear wing, it all just plays in really well, and it comes together. And sitting in it, feels like you're in a race car, a comfortable one.
Yeah, the cowl induction, you know, the cowl induction style hoods, and that's all for purpose because we run a larger blower. You know what I mean? We don't know what's coming out in the future. We want to make sure there's enough room, so we make sure that we, you know, when we design something, we give extra. You know, there's always extra room, extra this, extra that. So we can change a few things here and there, and still not have to change the design.
All right. Well, we've taken a lot of your time. If there's anything else you want to show, I figured.
It's great. I mean, you know, look around, make yourself at home in the Heritage Center here. You know, got Shelby Series 1. That's the only ground-up sports car we ever did, and so forth. So that's pretty cool. All carbon fiber body, honeycomb aluminum chassis, the airflow like we talked about.
It's just a great place to visit, and I highly recommend it. Just make a stop. It's right by the airport. It's perfect. But thank you again, both of you, for your time. Sharing the connection with Carol Shelby. I've always been a fan. And again, it's just literally, it sounds cheesy, but my mom was Shelby. She had a Mustang. It just ties it all into me. And it just feels so special to get time here.
All right, Patrick.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys coming by.
That was super cool. We've been here all week in Las Vegas filming the Consumer Electronics Show, and this is like the highlight of the week for me. That was so much fun to learn all of that info. But I want to thank you guys for watching this video, and of course, thank you to our Patreon members that have been supporting us for so long, helping us fund trips like this. You guys are very much appreciated. Our Unbridled and our Whisper members, and of course the Engage. I did it out of order, but that's okay. Also, thank you to our YouTube members. You guys are also fantastic for supporting us. But thank you to everybody just for watching, subscribing, liking, doing all that good stuff. And I just want to say, just remember, whatever you drive, whether it's a Shelby or not, enjoy the ride. Bye.